Most stories make us feel important. The greatest stories remind us that we aren't. That isn't pessimism, it's freedom. Modern life constantly tells us to become the center of the universe, to build a personal brand, organize ourselves, curate our identity, and believe everything revolves around our individual experience. But great literature often does the opposite. It reminds us that we're tiny participants in histories, ecosystems, civilizations, and cosmic processes that exist long before us and will continue long after we're gone. That feeling is what philosophers call the sublime. Welcome to the Unquiet Mind, and in this video we're going to take a look at the books and stories that make us feel impossibly small. Have you ever looked into the ocean in the dead of night? Not only is it unnerving, it's humbling that something so vast can exist apart from us, perceived by a mere set of eyes. In order to make us feel small, an author must dissolve the boundaries between the sensual and the surreal. No books do this better than those concerning nature. Walden by Henry David Thoreau is a prime example. Walden advocates for a radical simplicity, a return to nature as a means of achieving the human ideal. But when Thoreau walks into the woods, he comes to terms with a new and startling idea. Nature doesn't care. It has no interest in us. It exists apart from us, and we are just another species passing through. This is not the way the story usually goes. In most stories, there is a protagonist that dictates the progression of plot and theme, but stories concerning the vastness of nature don't always conform to these ideals. Take a look at Melville's Moby-Dick. People remember the whale, but the novel spends hundreds of pages discussing whales, oceans, religion, philosophy, industry, and science. Why? Because Melville keeps reminding us that humans aren't the center of the universe. Ahab thinks everything revolves around his revenge, but the ocean doesn't care. The whale certainly doesn't. Nature simply continues. Remember how the story ends? Ahab and most of the crew are swallowed up, devoured by a whirlpool. Nature's disdain incarnate. Another example can be found in Jeff Vandermeer's science fiction masterpiece, Annihilation. A group of scientists venture into the fabled Area X, replete with strange phenomena. As soon as they set foot in this new world, they feel the boundaries between themselves and nature dissolving. They become the very thing they set out to explore. Annihilation asks, what if something removed the boundary between me and everything else? Individuality disappears, human identity dissolves. The environment absorbs us. It's terrifying because modern identity depends on believing we're separate. In Gabriel Garcia Marquez's 100 Years of Solitude, we are humbled by a very different force. In this story, time makes everything small. Generations repeat the same mistakes, names repeat, lives blur together, individual triumphs disappear. The family believes every moment is unique. History quietly proves otherwise. The novel forces readers to zoom out. Your entire life becomes one sentence in a much longer paragraph. Another example is in Virginia Woolf's To the Lighthouse. The novel's famous middle section, Time Passes, compresses years into a handful of pages. While people obsess over dinners, conversations, and personal ambitions, the house itself quietly decays. Deaths occur almost as parenthetical remarks. Seasons change, dust gathers, nature reclaims the space. Woolf shifts the focus away from human drama to time itself. The effect is startling. What once felt urgent becomes fleeting, and the house outlasts nearly everyone who gave it meaning. Unlike apocalyptic novels, To the Lighthouse doesn't rely on catastrophe. It demonstrates that time doesn't need to destroy us violently, it only needs to continue. Our greatest joys, griefs, and ambitions are gradually absorbed into the ordinary passage of seasons, making the reader feel both profoundly small and strangely at peace. We build our walls, sow our crops, all in the shadow of the mountains. What we forget is that civilization itself is intensely temporary in the face of the vastness of the world from which we roused our means. Cormac McCarthy's Blood Meridian illustrates this perfectly. McCarthy's landscapes dwarf humanity. Mountains don't care about morality. The desert predates civilization. It will outlive civilization. Violence isn't introduced into nature, humans bring it with them. Yet nature remains utterly indifferent. Another of McCarthy's novels, The Road, illustrates what happens after civilizations fall. Unlike Blood Meridian, where civilization is still struggling to impose itself on the landscape, The Road imagines a world after that project has failed. Cities become ruins, highways become relics, shopping carts become survival tools. The novel forces readers to ask, if every institution vanished tomorrow, what would still make us human? The silence of the landscape is almost as terrifying as the violence. Ursula K. Le Guin's The Left Hand of Darkness takes a different approach. By immersing us in an alien culture, we see how paltry our attempts at categorization really are. If civilization is an established order, what happens when that order is challenged? Politics, identity, culture, all of these basic premises are just put to the test in the novel, and we see how insignificant they are when faced with the real vastness of experience. We spend much of our lives trying to feel bigger, to become more successful, more influential, more unforgettable. But the greatest books offer the opposite gift. They remind us that we are brief, fragile, and incomplete. And strangely, that realization can be deeply comforting. If the universe is larger than us, then not every mistake has to define us. Not every fear deserves to become the center of the story. Maybe the purpose of literature isn't to convince us that we're extraordinary. Maybe it's to remind us that we're part of something far more extraordinary than ourselves. Those are just a few of the plethora of novels and other media I researched while making this video. For a full list of the novels talked about, as well as a list of many more, refer to the description. I really appreciate you taking the time to watch this video, and hope you'll leave a like and subscribe. There's plenty more to come.